died a sad and untimely death,
Right.
and it left a real void. And hopefully this organization, although this organization is differently designed and it's not looking to step in the shoes of that predecessor organization, it is going to fill a necessity that has been missing.
Right. And it was no surprise to me that this organization eventually would, appear and evolve. I mean, knowing the people involved, knowing Mary Jo Papich and other people and their reputations, I was sure that something would come out of IJ, the ashes of IJE eventually, and here we are. And it really hasn't been that long a time, about a year and a half.
It's the Phoenix effect.
The Phoenix, yes.
Right.
And as I was saying before, we can call this the first annual conference because there's going to be a second conference next year, which is really exciting in January.
In New Orleans.
Yeah, I hope you can get the shrimp cleaned up by then.
Yeah, and the oysters and whatnot.
Well, just order it blackened. It'll be blackened anyway. Because blackened shrimp, blackened oysters, blackened. It's all blackened now, man. But
no, not the catfish. They farm the catfish.
Oh, okay.
No problem with that.
Right.
If the carp don't eat them, right?
We eat Chinese raised shrimp in New Orleans. It's kind of a drag when you think about it. So I hope to get it together for that. But so you're here for just the day.
I'm here just for the day. Unfortunately, I'm not able to sample the rest of the entire conference, although, of course, I'm a great supporter of it. But I had a scheduling conflict because I have a concert coming up in New York tomorrow evening, and just, one of those things, scheduling-wise.
Right. You're let's say who it is, the concert.
Well, the concert is at a place called Tribeca Performing Arts Center, which is downtown Manhattan, not far from what we now know as Ground Zero. And it's an annual concert series called Lost Jazz Shrines. And what it does is celebrate historic and now unfortunately defunct jazz venues, primarily in downtown Manhattan. And tomorrow evening is the culmination of our 3-concert series. And let me back up by saying that this year for the Lost Jazz Shrines we celebrated 3 what were musician-run venues, and it's a very important fact that these were musician-run venues. So the first concert 2 weeks ago, we celebrated Ali's Alley, and did a tribute to Rashid Ali with Azar Lawrence and his band. And this last Friday was a celebration of Studio Rifby, and we had Sam Rivers.
Those are 2 of my haunts back in the 70s, man. Oh yeah, I was both of those places.
I'm sure. Yeah. And tomorrow evening is the culmination of the series. We're celebrating the Jazz Cultural Theater, which of course was run by Barry Harris, and Barry Harris will be performing tomorrow evening.
Well, that sounds great, and it's been a great series. And I've been to quite a few of them in the past. There was one for Slugs.
Absolutely.
There's one for the Five Spot. I remember.
Village Gate. 2 years for the Village Gate, and the Jazz Gallery, the old Jazz Gallery, and Cafe Bohemia.
Now we were talking before, Willard. Is this an offshoot of that? Were you trying to do a similar thing in Brooklyn about the Brooklyn Jazz Shrines?
Well, it's somewhat of an offshoot. I guess this has become a bit of a cottage industry for me. But I am working with an organization called Weeksville Heritage Society in Brooklyn. Weeksville was a historic African American community in Brooklyn in the 1900s. In the 19th century. And I'm doing a research project into what's being referred to as the Lost Jazz Shrines of Brooklyn. A lot of people aren't aware that Brooklyn has a deep and very rich jazz history. And Brooklyn, point of fact, had more jazz clubs in the 50s and 60s than Manhattan.
Not to mention that many jazz musicians were born and raised in Brooklyn.
You had people like Max Roach and Randy Weston and so many others
Cecil
growing up. Yes, they
were all kids together. I mean, they grew up literally together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Neighborhood, And other musicians who maybe didn't have the same, reputations or careers that these guys had, but still were very good players.
And other great musicians.